I fully believe that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can make a run at the Super Bowl this upcoming season, and that's because they're going to have one of the best offenses in the NFL, if not the best offense in the entire league. I have been so impressed with Baker Mayfield, this entire team, over the last few years. The fact that they've won this division for 4 years in a row and are the favorite to win it for a 5th year in a row absolutely blows my mind, but I look at this team leveling up even more offensively this offseason. There's no doubt in my mind that they can have the best offense in the NFL. Let's talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. This is a team that really gets no media love, in my opinion. You obviously have the Philadelphia Eagles that just bludgeoned the NFC last year, and you have your San Francisco 49ers, your Rams, your Packers. You have your NFC North that really kind of takes the cake with everybody looking at it over there, and nobody really gives a lot of credit to the NFC South because it's not been the best division over the last few years, but it's been the Tampa Bay Buccaneers capitalizing on a weaker division. I mean, they were 8-9 and won the NFC South a few seasons ago, but I think that this Buccaneers team, after going 10-7 last year, dealing with that adversity, they had a really, really tough schedule. They got hit really hard in the middle of the year with just a brutal stretch of opponents. They have Mike Evans that goes down for some time. Chris Godwin is out for the rest of the year, but Baker Mayfield in this offense just continued to throw punch after punch and rolled with the punches. They made it to the postseason, and I think that they can take another step this year and not just be this crummy team out of the NFC South. That's not a very good division. No, this is a team that can make a run at the Super Bowl, and it's going to start with this offense. I mentioned the injuries to the receivers that they had last year. Well, despite that, they still had one of the best offenses in the NFL. They were 3rd in total yards per game. They could get it done on the ground. They could get it done in the air. They had the 3rd most passing yards and the 4th most rushing yards per game. You have that elite tandem of running backs in Bucky Irving and Rachaad White that were just so great. Bucky Irving is a guy that really came onto the scene strong last year and was such a great running back for this Buccaneers team. And of course, you had Rachaad White, who is so dangerous out of the backfield as well. They made up a great 1-2 punch. And when you look at the 3rd most receiving yards in football, it makes it easy to do when you have Mike Evans, who puts up 1,000 yards every single season. You have Chris Godwin, who is just one of the most elite receivers in football and one of the most underrated guys in football. He really has just been Mr. Consistent as well next to Mike Evans. And you had this stud receiver in Jalen McMillan last year, who really emerged as this elite number 3 receiver for the Buccaneers, and he capitalized when Evans and Godwin went down. I was really impressed with this offense, but the fact that they were 3rd in total yards, could get it done in a variety of ways, it impressed me a lot. And they put up the 4th most points per game. They had a really strong close to the season. They were 4-6 at one point, and I thought that they were on the ropes. It looked like the Falcons were just going to run away with this division, but the Buccaneers said not so fast. They stopped the bleeding. They lost 4 straight games. They lost 5 out of 6 in a 6-week stretch. They would fall all the way to 4-6. It looked bleak for this team. Baker Mayfield rallied the troops. This offense turned it on strong. They won 6 out of their final 7 games, went 10-7, made it into the postseason. They would lose in the first round to Jaden Daniels, who's just had a historic rookie season. He was that good. But I think that this Buccaneers team is going to take another step forward this year. I think they can have the best offense in football. Let's recap some of the moves that they made this offseason. They brought a lot of good pieces back. I know that they didn't necessarily go out and make any crazy home run moves. I think it was more impressive, the players that they brought back. First of all, I think the biggest move of the entire offseason was bringing back Chris Godwin. I think it was very widely known that Chris Godwin was probably going to hit the market. It didn't seem like the Buccaneers were going to be able to match what other teams were offering him. We knew that the New England Patriots offered him more than $30 million per year, but Chris Godwin decided to take less money, stay in Tampa Bay. He believed in what they were building there. He took a 3-year, $66 million contract, only $22 million per year, when he could have made over $30 million per year. Chris Godwin sacrificed a lot of money to be back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That says a lot about his character. In my opinion, that was without a doubt the biggest move of the offseason for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They also brought back Ben Bredeson, a guard that they had to continue to just kind of build this offensive lineup, another piece that they brought back on a 3-year, $22 million deal. And then a guy who's just been so awesome for this defense, Levante David. I didn't know if they would lose him or not this offseason, but he returns on a 1-year, $10 million contract. 3 really big pieces that are all back with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Jason Jason Light did a great job of bringing those guys back. Started with Chris Godwin. They bring back Lavonte David. 3 huge pieces. And then another kind of splash move that they made that was under the radar almost. Hassan Reddick, who didn't play much last year, who was holding out most of the season with the New York Jets. He wanted a bigger contract. They didn't really work things out. He ultimately came back later in the season, decided to play. He signs a 1-year, $14 million contract now with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I look at this as a low-end kind of investment for the Buccaneers. Like, hey, we're going to give you a 1-year prove-it deal. $14 million seems like a bargain for Hassan Reddick, who only a few years ago was one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, was racking up double-digit sacks numbers. This is a guy that is really, really productive. He has 50.5 sacks over the last 5 seasons. I think that Hassan Reddick can be a really special player in this Buccaneers defense, and that's where they need the most help. We understand this offense is going to be one of the best in the NFL. I keep raving about it. I can't rave enough about it. I think that they're going to be so dominant offensively, and they have leaned into that. But their defense is going to have to be better if they want to go up against some of these top teams in the NFC, like a Jaden Daniels or like a Philadelphia Eagles or like the Rams with Matthew Stafford and this potent offense. They're going to need to be able to get stops. We understand that they could score points the best of them. I think Hassan Reddick is really going to be able to help out this defense. Love the signing of Hassan Reddick. But they continue to add to this team in the draft. They just continue to bolster up this offense. They selected Emeka Egbuka out of Ohio State. So many people just raved about his character, how great he was. I look at Emeka Egbuka as a guy that was so special at Ohio State. The amount of great receivers and talent that he played with, and yet he was the guy that was always so consistent. He led the Ohio State Buckeyes in receiving yards in the entire history of that program. Emeka Egbuka playing around the guys of the likes of Marvin Harrison Jr., Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Jeremiah Smith. Emeka Egbuka led them in receiving yards, which is just ridiculous. And now you're adding him as this almost like infinity stone in this gauntlet with this receiving core. I mean, if they can stay healthy, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, now Emeka Egbuka, and with everything that's being reported, he's been killing it in camp too. I mean, I think could be the best receiving core in football. It's so deep. Jalen McMillan now being the 4th string receiver. Sterling Shepard's still pretty awesome. Trey Palmer, he really had some big time plays last season when his name was called when those injuries happened. You have Tez Johnson. I mean, he's your 7th receiver. This is the deepest receiving core in football. They have weapons. They have guys everywhere. I look at Cade Otton too, a guy that really came on the scene strong last year, was really productive in this Buccaneers offense, especially when Evans and Godwin went down. This offense is ridiculous. Bucky Irving, Rachaad White, 2 guys that are such a great tandem of running backs. Baker Mayfield has played his way into the top 10 quarterbacks, in my opinion. The deepest and probably the best receiving core in football. Good offensive line. Tristan Wirfs is such a dog, that tackle spot. What can the defense do for you, though? That's going to be the biggest question mark. That's going to be the biggest key for this Buccaneers team if they want to go win a Super Bowl. It's going to come down to this defense. What can Antoine Winfield do? What can Lavonte David, Hassan Reddick, what can these guys do for you? We understand how great Vita Vea is. Kalijah Kancey took him in the first round 2 years ago. This defense is going to need to step up and get stops when they need it the most if they're going to go up with some of these potent offenses in the NFL. I'm excited to see what this Buccaneers team could do. Let's go over the schedule right now. They went 10-7 last year, lost in the wild card round. Let's see what they're made of this year. Again, tough schedule, but I think their offense is going to be able to help them out in a big time way. And almost their schedule is kind of formatted very similarly to how it was last year. Very tough in the beginning, some tough games in that middle stretch that they could go on a losing streak, but they're going to be able to bounce back in those final 6 weeks, in my opinion. But let's go over everything. Week 1, they're going to go on the road against Atlanta. I think this is a great time to go on the road against Atlanta. You don't want to see them later on in the season when Michael Penix is more in a rhythm. I think you want to go on the road, play Atlanta early on. I think they're going to pull off an upset here, beat Atlanta week 1 on the road. They start 1-0. Then they're going to go on the road against the Houston Texans. I'm very high on Houston. I think they're going to be one of the best teams in the AFC this year. I think they dropped their first game of the season. They're 1-1. They'll bounce back, though, against New York. They'll be 2-1 after they beat the Jets. loss. Then they will play the Philadelphia Eagles at home, the reigning Super Bowl champs. I think they lose this one as well. They are 2-2 here before they go on the road against Seattle. I think they win this one. They're 3-2. Then they will play the San Francisco 49ers at home. I think they capitalize on a questionable 49ers defense that's trying to figure it out. I believe that they beat the 49ers here. They are 4-2. Then they'll go on the road against Detroit. They had success against Detroit last year. They beat them. I believe that they will win this one as well against a Detroit defense that I still want to see how they are going to react. They lost Kirby Joseph. I want to see how this team is without Aaron Glenn. I think that the Buccaneers pull this one off. They're 5-2. Then they take care of business, beating the New Orleans Saints before they head into their bye week. They're 6-2, feeling really good heading into this bye week here where they'll play the New England Patriots at home. They'll get this one done. They're 7-2. I think this is where things get a little rocky for them here, though. I think they go on a 2-game losing streak. They lose to Buffalo on the road. They lose to Los Angeles on the road as well. They are 7-4. I think that they beat the Arizona Cardinals 8-4. They will beat the New Orleans Saints. They'll sweep them. Terrible division, like I keep talking about. I think that the Buccaneers have an opportunity to go 6-0 in this division, which is absolutely wild, but let's see how they can do. So now they're 9-4 after beating New Orleans. They'll play Atlanta again. They knock off Atlanta 10-4. I think they get stumped against Carolina here. I think Carolina is going to be a little bit better. I'm going to have them splitting against Carolina. I think they will be 10-5 at this point. They'll go on the road against Miami. I think they're going to lose against Miami here. I think that Miami has been very counted out. This is going to be an offensive explosion. I think they get caught here. 2 games where they're feeling really good. They're 10-4, flying high. They'll still win this division. They'll lose to Miami here, though, but they'll bounce back against Carolina. I think that they'll be 11-6 on the year when it's all said and done. I think that is very fair for this team. I threw in a few upsets. I threw in some games that they are pulling off upsets. I think that this Buccaneers team is going to be led by their offense. I'm curious to see what their defense is going to do. I want to see them start fast, though, because that middle of the season stretch, it's going to be tough where you have Philadelphia, you have San Francisco, you have Detroit, and then you have a 2-game stretch on the road against Buffalo and on the road against LA. Those stretches during the middle of the season are tough, but the Buccaneers battled last year. They continue to fight through adversity. I am very, very high on this team. They will be in the postseason. They will win a playoff game. This is not a team you want to see in the playoffs. This is not a team at all that you want to see in the playoffs because they can have a better offense than anybody else. I think Baker Mayfield stacks up with the best of them when it's all said and done. I'm excited to see how he does. The only other question mark I have is what is this offense going to be without Liam Cohen? I think they figure it out, but they've got to start fast. They've got to start fast without Liam Cohen. I believe that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be a force to be reckoned with offensively. I'll say it right now. This will be the best offense in football next year. The Buccaneers, Baker Mayfield, they're going to be a really, really scary team in the NFC. Do not overlook this squad. I'm Caden Kubler, and thank you guys for watching.